Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, where last episode, after talking to Professor Mikotoba during our recess, we returned to the courtroom to find Giselle Brett alongside Satoru Hosonaga on the witness stand, the latter acting as her translator as the British gentlewoman gave her first testimony, telling us of a frightening and sorrowful sight. With the insistence that there was no way for her to have carried a gun on a person of interest, we have managed to ascertain through her telling us that she took a glass from the scene that she was carrying a handbag at the time, something that could have concealed a gun. You're right! Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't seriously be suggesting... Inspector Hosonaga? Yes? Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir. I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. No! Order! 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 What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor Aoshi? Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Lovely. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting. Simply because... it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I'd completely forgotten about. This photographic print. This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never! You can see right through to what's inside! That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Order! Order! Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. The photograph of the handbag has been entered into the court record. Now, it's mesh from one side, but definitely not from the other. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion. The pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of the crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry. Ryunosuke. Now the cross-examination of the witness is over. There's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak can't meet, while the strong eat. You were wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content, from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Having considered all of the evidence placed before me, yes! I hereby find you... Yes? Wait, Your Excellency! Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet. Objection! This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Yes! Your Excellency, just a moment ago, you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now, that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. Objection! This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. Look at this good judge. However, I failed to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Ha! My faults exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Specifically the photograph. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Can I have a look at it first? I think now's the time if I'm going to have a look around first of all. I can use my magnifying glass to check out areas. Oh, actually full on magnifies. I mean, that's the standout thing. Not looking at the handbag, but I can't really prove that the handbag has no, has like an other side to it. It's obviously solid on one side, so I don't know if there's another compartment. I guess the only weird thing is this. It's not like we can use it to check out an area. Do we have any other information about the way the victim looks? Not really. So, trial will be over with immediate effect? Let's worry. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. Oh, that's... Well then, I guess it's this rather than this? But why would this be of interest versus the glasses and the thing? I would love to see... Oh, we can switch over. If there's like another... I would love to like examine it and twist it round. But I guess I'll point at this. It looks like we're only losing one. It's always scary.
Yes!
Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Attention!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. I even checked that report. I thought that's quite interesting. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. It's a brand, isn't it? Or, you know. However, as Prosecutor Ouchi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. What are you saying? Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. The genes are strong. Yes, you're right. I am. If we could just link that burn to the case. If we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed. I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I had to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. It's in my evidence. Is it in a picture somewhere? Oh. No. Oh, I was thinking like maybe the burn that's the gunshot wound would actually have a shape like that. So it's like, it's not burnt from a gunshot wound at all. It's burnt from something else. But that's a no. Let's have a look around. Thank you. It's not visible there. It is visible there. The plate was so hot that he burned his hand, didn't remove it, so the body's been repositioned? Is what we're looking at here. Considering everything, considering that hand couldn't be round that way, I don't know. Well, it'd be like a really weird, yeah. It's on the inside of his wrist as well. That'd be a bit of a contortion to do. The only thing that we can get that mark on is the plate. The plate was so hot that it caused a burn. What is going on here? That's my evidence?
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. I do hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a while longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn? The plate. Bing.
Yes!
The beefsteak? No, it's not where I pointed. God. Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate. Your Excellency, are you all right? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnival. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before or the day after before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Aoshi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day, or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Aoshi? Yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think? Could it really be true? I never dreamed we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson hadn't noticed the burn, was asleep, or was already deceased. I mean, I think that a fourth thing might be brought up. He was anesthetized, so obviously he was painkilled a little bit, you know, because he had the local, so, you know, it's local, not general. But how did they do things back then? Was given the laughing gas to get over the pain? Okay, rather than the anesthetic? Oh, whatever. Was already deceased? Let's hope that doesn't come up as a point against us, because I can see it twisting and turning. But I think he was already dead. Very dead. Which then makes you wonder, like, obviously his body was completely moved around. Then he was shot when I was near him. There's still a lot of machinations we've yet to figure out. No man can remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead. Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness!
Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it.
Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But, Your Excellency!
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency.
What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all.
But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now?
My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us.
I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting. Ryunosuke? Things are interesting indeed. The testimony? The victim's death.
Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you.
Easy does it. I hope that it's the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It's a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I'll be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen.
Huh? Thanks. Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett. Put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear?
Is this really final?
Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. I think you could hear my wife getting scared downstairs during the recording then. The victim's death.
Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that.
I'm sure you don't. But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed.
Do you think so? Let me ask you something.
Sorry.
Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you?
Huh? What? My mind was out on other things! Ah!
Haha, what fun! You hadn't realized. The dear lady is absolutely right.
As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Why didn't you tell me?
Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing?
Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can.
Yes!
Well, I can't.
Anyway. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast.
Yes!
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water. Is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter?
Exactly as you say, sir. Although, whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that.
Damn you. I have enough English to understand that at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you.
I think it means the exact opposite.
Anyway. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here on the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma.
Yes.
Luckily for all of us, a little bird on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
But it doesn't make any sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, he wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
Objection!
And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
I concur. Prosecutor Aoshi is right.
We're down to the fourth one. Press, press, press. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace? If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body.
Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Ozanaga?
As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There'd be physical traces of all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Takatsuchi Aoshi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions.
A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. So, a way to kill someone that does not leave a trace, which also would be harder to investigate than physical body checks at the turn of the century. Involving food. Or drink. I think we might have a thing, and this sentence is interesting as well, so I think I'll press this too, but I'll press that next time on the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. I hope you'll join me then, because you can see where our line of thinking has now been sent. I'll see you next time for more. Bye-bye.